He is gone, but another tropical system could impact the East Coast later this week into the weekend. It's Lee Weather Team meteorologist Joe Martucci. Welcome to this edition of Hurricane Hunt. Hurricane Lee made landfall Saturday in Canada. Now, we also have Hurricane Nigel, which is out in the open Atlantic. No threat to land, but it did rapidly intensify over the past 36 hours here. And then we're watching the late week, Friday through Sunday, for a tropical storm that moves up the northeast coast. Really, it goes from South Carolina all the way up the coast. Here's a look at our satellite from Hurricane Lee on Friday into Saturday. A lot of the storm was on the northern part of the storm here, meaning that it was weakening as it made landfall, and it did on what's called Long Island, Nova Scotia. Not to be confused with Long Island, New York. It is just about, I believe, 50 miles east of the U.S.-Canada border near Maine. So almost made a rare Canadian landfall, or excuse me, a rare Maine landfall, but it did not. Rather, just kept moving into New Brunswick, Canada, and moved through Atlantic Canada throughout the weekend. We take a look at our satellite on our Monday here. You see that swirling area in the middle of your screen? That is Hurricane Nigel, which increased its intensity by over 35 miles an hour within a 24-hour period, making it a rapidly intensifying storm. Now, this storm is moving to the northwest at 12 miles an hour, and you'll see here over the next couple of days, it makes that usual loop that we see, but this time it's not even getting to Bermuda. It goes to the northwest and into the northeast, staying a hurricane as far north as New Brunswick, Canada, or the northern coast of France. So this is going to maintain strength for a while here before it turns into a remnant storm next weekend here. Take a look at the jet stream and you'll see why it's making this path. The jet stream is the river of air about 30,000 feet high that separates two air masses. Well, we take a look at the steering winds here, and you're going to see this over the next couple of days. That jet stream just kind of stays in the same place. And as this storm moves north, and tropical storms and hurricanes naturally will move north, well, it just kind of gets sucked into the jet stream and then continues to move to the northeast as we go into the weekend. So no threat to land from us, not even indirect impacts from this storm. Now, there are two other systems we're watching out for in the Atlantic Hurricane Basin. One is just around the Cape Verde Islands. That's moving to the west, and that has a 70% chance of forming into something tropical in the next 5 days. But then there's this other area here that's off the southeast coast. Still a low risk of it becoming something tropical or a named storm by Friday here. But if it does, then we're talking about a system that will feed off a lot of warm water here. Anywhere that's red on this map, those are water temperatures at or above 80 degrees. And it's extending all the way north to about Virginia or so. And then we kind of lose it with the Gulf Stream. Further north you go, of course, the cooler waters get. But there is some warm water to work with here. It's a question of, will it actually work with that warm water to become a named storm? Now, even if it doesn't, we're talking about a lot of rain as we go into this weekend here, all the way from North Carolina on up into New Jersey and New England here. Possibly 4 inches of rain in the Outer Banks, 2.5 along the Jersey Shore here. So this is primarily going to be a rainmaker, whatever happens through the weekend here. But I don't anticipate this being something where you're dealing with a lot of strong wind and storm surge. Sure, it'll be another weekend where you're going to want to stay out of the water. Wave heights will increase, but it won't be like what we just saw with Lee last week here. You see, by Sunday, that low pressure system, whether it's a tropical storm or not, will be moving off the North Carolina coast. You know, really, you can think of it this way. It's either going to become a tropical storm or it's going to be a nor'easter here. And nor'easters are unusual this time of the year because typically if you get some kind of low pressure system off the Carolina coast, it moves to the northeast, it feeds off the warm water, and it becomes a tropical cyclone. But again, we'll get to you more details as we go forward into the week here. We are coming off the peak of hurricane season, but we're still well at the top of this chart here. In fact, you look at today, you know, we're still better, or I should say more active than at least 80% of hurricane season here. So we are certainly still in the thick of it. So taking a look at our notes here as we wrap it up, Hurricane Lee made landfall on Saturday in Canada. It was a post-tropical cyclone, which means it lost its warm core or tropical characteristics as it made landfall here. Hurricane Nigel was a rapidly intensifying storm, increasing more than 35 miles an hour within a 24-hour time period, but no threat to land on that. And of course, we're going to watch what happens later in the week Friday through Sunday with this low pressure system that goes off the South Carolina coast. It either becomes a nor'easter or it becomes a tropical storm here. We'll keep you updated on that as we go forward throughout the week. You can look for a new hurricane hunt on Wednesday on your favorite news website here. For the Lee Weather Team, I'm meteorologist Joe Martucci. You can check out our latest Across the Sky podcast. New episode comes out tonight on Monday night. We talk about bounce houses and the weather, and unfortunately some of the deaths and injuries that we saw from them. We talk with one professor who has studied this exact thing for research.